You're welcome. Awesome. we have the two-dimensional version of Jalika. Okay, so let me just bring up my notes. So first, I just wanted to welcome you guys to the call, and I want to just take a moment. Jalika, I know you're in a kind of a noisy place, but let's just take a moment to drop in. So you took this time out of your day. Let's just take a moment to be quiet with each other. So you can close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths here. And I want you to just notice what your breathing is like. Notice the temperature of the air around you. Notice if you feel any tightness or spaciousness in your body. Maybe you feel stillness, or maybe you feel movement, vibration. Just be aware of everything that's going on without changing it, without judging it as good or bad. Just let it be there. Good. And you can open up your eyes if they were closed. And I just want to share, I'm really grateful for this work, because presentations can be scary for many people. And it's just so nice to have these internal resources, because I can feel myself studying, because I'm nervous, excited. I might talk a little faster than I usually do and all of that. So I mostly, though, I'm just so touched that you are here, and anyone who does listen to this recording, I'm just so grateful to get to share. I really believe in this work, and I really want to get it to the people who want to know about it. So, yeah. So thanks for investing this time to listen, to be on the video, to talk with me today. And, the line is muted, like I said before, to ensure quality recording. And if you do need to rejoin the call at any point during, you can just refer to the information in your email. If you get bumped off, you can just hop back on. I'm not going to lock the meeting. So this call is emotional eating, tending to the hidden roots. And I want to talk about what emotional eating is and how to address it, how to stop it. And we're going to spend some time, about half an hour of our time today will be to demonstrate and teach this technique that I use with clients and that I've used on myself to uncover the emotional drivers that trigger compulsive eating. So I do want to be very mindful of the time. And my aim is for this to last 60 minutes to 90 minutes long. I know that I could go on and on and on, because I love this work so much and I think about it all the time. And I love to dig into the layers, but I'm really going to try to synthesize and just be really simple with what I emphasize today. And I really want you to go away from this talk with a deeper understanding of emotional eating and how to be free of it. So I promise at the end of the call, I will show you how to take this work further if you'd like to take it further as well. Shelly says, okay, that's totally fine. And it's possible, since there are just the three of us right now, that we'll be able to get through things very quickly. So, okay, so the general structure of today is we're going to do a little bit of orientation, a little background on me, and then talk about kind of the work, the technique. I want to introduce it, and then we'll go through a demonstration, and then we'll kind of talk about any teaching points from that. And then I want to kind of talk to you guys about how to use this technique in your lives, so that you can make the most of it. So neither of you know me. So for those of you who don't know me, which are the two of you, my name is Makayla McDonald, and I'm the owner of Food Peace Body Love. And I'm a certified Brittany Watkins method coach. And I've been coaching with her for, oh, hi, we have someone new. Hi, Kay Dun. I've been training with Brittany. I trained with her intensively for like a year and a half. And then we have just more people are piling on. Hello, everyone. And now I've been one of her main coaches for the past 2 years. So I've been working on myself and with clients for 3+ years now. And I've done lots of other trainings. I've spent a lot of money, a lot of good money on trainings and programs. And I like to think that I really synthesize the best of the best because I have studied so much of this. And so that's a little about me. And my passion, what I really love to do is I love to help women who know what to do. They know how to eat, they know how to work out, they know all these pieces, but they just can't seem to follow through. They keep kind of self-sabotaging or emotionally eating when they really know, this isn't what I want to be doing. And so often that includes the relationship to food and the relationship to body. So I really, that's why it's called Food, Peace, Body, Love. There's the peaceful part about how we relate to food, but then there's also feeling a lot of love for our bodies. So, yes, so that's that. So, okay, looking back at my notes again, total transparency, I have notes. And, okay. So the process that I use with people is pretty nuanced. I really like to work with people one-on-one. I'm looking into group work in the future, but at this point, I really like to work one-on-one because I get to hone in on, what are the core blocks for people, and we get to craft our work together based on that. But if I were to say that I have a process, it would be to first identify the behaviors that are sabotaging your success, right? So the emotional eating, the not working out, the staying up late and watching TV, those kind of behaviors. Then 2 is to address the roots and drivers of those behaviors. And that's what we're going to get into today, of how to address the driving force behind those behaviors. And then 3 is to establish new habits and behaviors based on being really congruent, that your subconscious mind and your conscious mind are on the same page about doing self-care, movement, eating well, that all of that is based in self-love. So to really feel deeply congruent, that things are coming out of self-love and self-care, that all these choices for health and all that aren't a threat. So I want to just help to acknowledge and validate you guys that this class is right for you if you use food to numb out, to celebrate, to distract, to de-stress, to reward yourself, or even if you just find that you eat too much on a regular basis. This class is for you if you are caught in a dieting cycle of all the hope of what could happen and how great it'll be when you lose the weight, and then the despair of it not working out. That cycle can be so painful. This class is for you if you secretly obsess about your weight and you just don't know what to do about it. And this class is if you really want a deeper shift, beyond some fast diet that's just going to get you where you need to get to and everything will be great after you lose this weight. This class is not about that. This is about a deeper shift, about how you're relating to your emotions and what coping mechanisms you employ. So I just want you guys to know that it really is possible to have a peaceful relationship with food and a loving relationship with your body. I don't know if that feels far, far away from you or if you've already had glimpses of that, but I just want you to know that that's really possible. And it's something that I have experienced firsthand in my own journey and that I've witnessed other people experience. So I, just a little background on me before we dive more into the content. I've tried so many things between all the diets I've done starting at 13 and all the diets that I watched my mom do. I've probably witnessed or done every single diet or exercise plan, And it's, yeah, even though I'm young, you know, I'm 26, but I've really experienced a lot and witnessed a lot. And I have this intense kind of student mindset. And so I apply that to pretty much everything I do. And I really applied that to this topic of just being thorough and getting into the details. And that's part of this ability that I feel that I have to synthesize, you know, the best of the best. So it was partway through college that I actually realized that I had emotional eating was an issue. Up until then, I just thought, oh, I just want to be healthy. You know, I'm just trying to be healthy. And beneath that, there was all this denial, you know, because beneath that, I really desperately wanted to lose weight and regularly binged on dessert and regularly overate. I was doing all these behaviors, but I didn't recognize them as emotional eating until I was in college. And a friend of mine was just really open about how they would go home and eat food and binge and emotionally eat. And it was such a gift that friend was brave enough to just acknowledge it. And that's something that I will always be grateful about, because if I hadn't first acknowledged that I had a problem, I wouldn't have been able to address it. So I thought a lot about it throughout college. That's really when I gained a lot of weight. It was really overwhelming to have as much male attention as I did in college, which I wasn't used to in high school and all of that. And so I actually put on a lot of weight as a way to kind of hide and have less attention. The weight became a boundary, so that I didn't have to keep saying no or get space. It didn't feel safe to have as much male attention as I did have. And, you know, throughout college, I would just go home and eat an entire pint of, you know, coconut ice cream and eat until I was physically uncomfortable. And I just so wanted to feel beautiful and healthy and loved and lovable, but I also wanted to feel safe. And I didn't know at that time that those two things were actually at odds with each other. And so I came to this work, you know, I did Brittany's program, and I've also done some trainings in NLP and EFT, faster EFT. And my college degree was in yoga, and somatic psychology was kind of my elective, you know, almost a minor, but pretty much just lots of electives in that. And so I've really had a lot of love for the body and for what it's like to process our emotions in a healthy way. So that's some background on me. You know, nowadays I feel really peaceful about food. I love food. I've always been a foodie. I love food, you know, but it doesn't have control over me. You know, I've got, I think, 6 bars of chocolate on my shelf right now, and that used to be impossible. I would always eat any dessert I brought home the day of. And those have been there a few days now. And I have some cake in the fridge that I made, and, you know, there's other things. There's other, dessert is just around me, and it's not an issue. I don't feel like I would eat that as a meal, as breakfast and things like that in the past, but now it can just be there and it's okay. So I'm really grateful for that. And you know, I've lost some weight. The way I talk about that in my practice is that weight loss is a side effect, you know, that the deeper shifts often happen first, you know, of feeling just more peaceful, having an easier relationship with food. And then the weight loss kind of happens after that. So I think I've lost probably 20 pounds, and I'm still losing weight, just kind of do. But I don't really worry about it. I feel good in my body where I'm at. And that's the piece that I really value, I think, the most, is that I don't feel separate from peace. You know, I'm okay as I am. I don't have to obsess about food and diet. I can think about other things. I mean, I still think about food and diet because I'm a coach, but it's in a different way. So I just want to, whoops, okay, there we go. I clicked on something. Okay, just want to check on all of y'all. You doing good? Okay, thumbs up. Hey, okay, good. Um, so let's dive into the content. So emotional eating, I see it as a coping mechanism. I'm going to be really simple with this, right? Emotional eating is one of many coping mechanisms that exist in the world, right? There's shopping, there's alcohol, and I could go into greater depth about the difference between addiction and just a coping mechanism. But for the sake of time, I just want to name that emotional eating is a form of a coping mechanism. And coping mechanisms are created based on associations. So maybe it was a long, long time ago that it was either modeled to you by your family, by your friends, that reaching for food is a viable option when you're stressed or when you want a treat or when you want to feel like you have me time. And so it's modeled to us, or we just discover it on our own. And the thing is, a lot of times coping mechanisms are effective at one point in time, but then they become outdated effectively. That's the most kind of mellow way to say it. And this whole field of associations that exist in our minds, most of those exist in our subconscious mind. And once again, that's something I could go into greater depth about, but the main way that I like to talk about the subconscious mind that's common out there is this analogy of the iceberg, right? There's the part that you can see, the conscious mind, which is the tip of the iceberg that's above the surface of the water. And then the subconscious mind is the rest of that iceberg. And you can't see it, but it is there. It has a very substantial presence. And the difference between tapping and the work that I do and like traditional talk therapy, which is great and I totally value, is that talk therapy is really about revealing, exploring and revealing to see what's there, what's going on. And this work does that, but we take it a step further because we're actually creating a deeper shift and not only becoming aware of the associations and structures in place, but we're shifting what those are through the process of tapping and visualization and all of that. So that's partly why I get so excited about this work. And there can be lots of roots that feed into the tree of a behavior, right? So if emotional eating as a coping mechanism is your behavior, there can be lots of roots that feed into that. And this work, you can address like a few of the main root systems, and then the whole thing can crumble. So it doesn't have to be that every little moment has to be addressed and mulled over for a shift to occur. So there's that piece. And so how we address the drivers of our unwanted behavior is through, many modalities, but this work I find is the most effective. And the technique that I'm going to be teaching you guys today and demonstrating is called echo tapping. And it's a technique that my coach, Brittany Watkins, kind of crystallized and brought into being. And I've worked with it for, the last 4 years on myself and with clients. And this work really helps to shift the deeper patterns, the deeper associations that are going on. Now we're going to transition into the technique. And before we do that, I just want to check in. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or any tech issues going on right now? No, I see shaking heads. Good. Good. Okay. All is well. Good. Okay. So I want to bring on a volunteer. So it's going to be one of you. And I'm looking for someone who has either recently emotionally eaten, like in the last week or so, or is afraid of having another emotional eating or binge episode. And it could be one or the other. It could be both. And just so you know, so you don't feel like, oh God, how much will I be exposed if I volunteer? I'll just tell you, this process usually looks like connecting with a childhood memory of being upset. And we'll go back in and help you address any unmet needs and help express any stuck emotions so that you can free up that energy and just attend to that symbolic piece that's there. And I also want to say that, I can't help everybody that I want to help. I don't have enough time to help everybody one-on-one. And so that's why I want to demonstrate this technique to you. And volunteering and doing the demo with me means that you'll be helping not only the people on this call, but also the people in the future who will see this recording. So it's really, I'm calling on the active service as well. And, you'll get one-on-one attention from me. It's like a free session. And I also want to say, I don't know how many of you are familiar with tapping, but with tapping and EFT, there's this idea of borrowed benefits. So even if you are tapping along and watching somebody else go through a process, even if it doesn't exactly apply to you, it will still benefit you. And so that's something that I've experienced, that I've witnessed other people experience. So I just want you to know that even if you aren't the volunteer, that you'll still get benefit from kind of going through the process as well. So with that being said, is there anything else I want to say? Yes, I have a question for you guys. Did any of you or some of you get to watch the How to Tap tutorial? Did that happen? There's a nod from Rachel and a nod from Kay Dunn. You can type in the chat if you want to be the one to work with me. And I can even unmute some of you if that's needed. But first, let's just start with the chat. Anybody? Yes, I tap sometimes, says Jalika. I'd like to volunteer, says Shelly. Okay, good. Okay, good. And we just had somebody else join on. Okay, good. So Shelly, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, she just needs one moment. Okay. Can I hear you? 1 second. Let's see. Oh, this is so confusing. I'm unmuting you. Don't do anything. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, it's happening. So Shelly is on. Hi, Shelly. Thank you for volunteering. So do you know how to do the tapping points?
I did it years ago. I tried it a few times. I never really followed through because I couldn't figure out what to do with it.
I totally understand. I knew about tapping when I was 10, and it freaked me out. I felt like it just brought up more emotions than I wanted. So, yeah. So, okay. So as long as you know the points. So we'll just review them for everybody right now. So we start with the karate chop point, and that's the side of your hand. And I'll tell you when to transition off of this one. This isn't one of the main points, so to speak. So there's the karate chop point. And then we'll progress to the main points. So these are the eyebrow point. So you can just do this with one hand, sometimes right between your eyebrows, I like to do. Or if you want to do both hands, you can do it like that. I'm really loose with it. You can't hurt yourself. Then there's the side of your eye, which is not your temple. It's this bony part right here on the side of your eye. Then there's under your eye, which isn't, in your eyeball, but just that bony part beneath your eye. Then there's under your nose. Okay. And then under your lips. Okay. And then there's the chest point, which is just below your collarbone. Good. I love that point. It always makes me breathe a little deeper. And then under your arm, and you can do both sides if you want, or just one. It's really fine either way. And then top of your head. So you can just do those points on repeat as we go through this process, Shelly. And if you want to just hang out on one point for a while, that is totally fine. That is totally fine. And since I can see you, I can kind of remind you of, okay, progress to the next point now. So I just want to say that piece. And then let me see. Once again, looking at my notes to make sure that we have, okay, good. Okay. So I also want to remind you, and this is true for, anyone going through this process, that you always have choice as far as how deep we go in, right? And this is partly me saying this to your subconscious mind, that you are safe, you are in control. we will not go anywhere that you do not want to go. You can always be like, no, I don't want to go there. And we just won't. We'll just 100%. We will withdraw. So you're safe to say no and to decide where we go and where we don't go. Okay. So, Shelley, this piece, I'm curious to see how this part goes. So, because I usually have such an in-depth intake with people before we dive into this, but I have a feeling we can just pinpoint. So when was the last time that you emotionally ate, Shelley?
It was the end of last week.
End of last week. And when you think about it now, what feelings come up for you?
There's some guilt.
Mm-hmm.
There's some the need, the feeling that I need to release some habits that I've had for many, many years that I just find it very difficult to release.
Okay. So guilt and this kind of like, it sounds like maybe there's some overwhelm going on with that. Like, these habits have been going on for so long and I need to release them and I don't know how. Yeah, that can be really overwhelming. Okay. And what are some of the thoughts that you tell yourself after an emotional eating episode, like the night of or the next day? How do you?
It's usually right after. It's like, why did I do that again? And just one thing to add is that it almost always happens when I'm alone.
That's a great,
it's the secret eating. I mean, that's something that, I've been able to, I've gotten rid of most of the binging and all that kind of stuff, but it's the secret eating. And, so, and usually it means I've eaten too much or I've eaten too many things that I'm just not used to eating anymore. And I just feel crappy. And it's like, why do I do this to myself? I know how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Both physically and emotionally, but I keep doing it anyway.
And was there anything that triggered the episode? Like, was it that you realized that you had this food that you loved around the house and you didn't realize you had it and then you had to eat all of it?
Oh, no, I didn't have it in the house. I bought it.
Okay.
Because the stuff in the house, like I have a whole bunch of, I eat really good dark chocolate and I can have a piece and I'm fine with that. And that's not what I go crazy with. It's okay. My husband is working, so I'm home alone and okay, I like these cookies and I like that and I like this and I like this and I'll bring it home. And then there's I have to finish it before he gets home or hide it someplace so I can have it for next time.
Okay.
And that's a pattern that there's been a lot of beating myself up about. And that has been going on. I'm 62 years old and that has been going on for most of my life.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I'm looking for is if when you're alone, is it because, and it might be a combo, is it because you feel uncomfortable being alone and the food is kind of to fill in that space of being alone? Or is it, this is my only chance to do this thing that I love doing?
It's more like that. I love being alone. And but there are times like he works Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights, and Wednesday afternoons I'm usually out in a place with a group of people and it's a coffee shop bakery, and it's like, okay, I can get one of their muffins or I can get something and I can bring it home and nobody's going to see me eating it. I don't have to explain it to anybody.
And does your husband like offer judgment or comments when he does see you eating things like that, or when he has in the past?
Not really. Maybe judgment, but no, he knows not to comment.
Okay, so then he becomes a perfect person to project any of your self-judgment onto.
Yeah, excuse me just 1 minute. I just have to respond to a message.
That's okay. Good. I'm going to just look at these notes. So yeah, so this is really common. A lot of people feel like food is their treat, right? It's the like, and this may or may not resonate, Shelley, but this experience of I do so much for other people. I am a caretaker and all that. And food is the thing that I have where it gets to be just for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I find that a lot of the women that I work with have some form of that kind of structure. So are you all set? Do you need to do any more?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. So, so in the arc of the emotional eating episode, which is the part that bothers you the most? You can even close your eyes here for a moment and play through it again, you know.
It's the feeling crappy afterwards.
Crappy afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm enjoying it while it's happening. I've even tried, let's eat slowly. But I it's just, and sometimes it's like, it doesn't taste anywhere near as good as I thought it was. I'm going to eat it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's really common. And this is the part where it's like, it's an outdated mechanism, right? You know, it was great once, it hit that button so well, but it's no longer actually really meeting the need that's going on there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So feeling crappy afterwards. Okay, I think we can dive in here. So everybody else who's on the call, I just want you to think about the last time you emotionally ate and the way that you felt afterwards. Okay. So let that be kind of the entry point for you. I just want to take a moment to let everybody think about that. And we can close our eyes and even just think about that. Go back in time to the last time you emotionally ate. And if you don't have an example of a last time you emotionally ate, just think of the last time that you kind of were compulsively drawn towards food. You know, what we're really looking for here is some experience of discomfort. So, okay, Shelley. So thank you so much for volunteering, by the way. I want you to close your eyes and you can take a deep breath. And I want you to go back in time to just the other day. You emotionally ate. Keep your eyes closed. You emotionally ate. And I want you to play through that scene to the end part where you felt really bad at the end. Feeling really crappy. It didn't even taste as good as it usually does or as it used to. And but you just feel bad. You ate it anyway. You had to hide it, had to get rid of it. This thing that you enjoy, but that makes you feel so bad at the end. Okay, good. So can you feel that crappy feeling? And what is that feeling like? If you were to describe it as a sensation, you can keep your eyes closed to really stay in touch with this. Where do you feel that crappy feeling in your body?
Mostly in my stomach because I overate. And then just feeling the guilt that it's something I still feel I need to hide.
Gotta hide it. Yeah. Guilt. Could you describe what it's like to feel guilt as if I've never experienced it? As if I don't know what it's like to feel guilt.
Just berating myself. You know, instead of being berated by the Jewish mother I grew up with. But it's just being hard on myself.
Yeah, it sounds really aggressive. Okay. So what I want you to do now, Shelley, is I want you to tap on the side of your hand, the karate chop point. And we're going to hang out on this point for a while. And everybody else can tap along and be tapping on the karate chop point along with us. And I want you to feel all of this, the guilt, berating yourself. I've got to hide it. I'm too full. My stomach hurts. That crappy feeling. I want you to feel all of that. And we're going to follow that feeling back in time to the first age that pops into your head, even if it feels like you're totally making it up. How old are you?
when I first started this type of behavior.
This isn't a thought of like trying to remember. This is just whatever number pops into your head first.
12.
12. Perfect. Because that's kind of the ripe one, right? We're picking the ripe fruit. So I want you to imagine yourself at 12 years old. Can you picture yourself at 12 in your mind's eye? Good. So I want you to imagine walking over to your 12-year-old self and getting close enough where you can actually step inside of her body to really be her. And let me know when you're there or if you have any difficulty getting in there.
I think I'm there.
Good. Okay. You can start tapping through the other points, starting with the eyebrow point, and just tap through them at your leisure. And I want you to open up the eyes of your 12-year-old self, look out through her eyes, look around, and tell me, what are you experiencing as her? Once again, even if it feels like you're making it up or if it's just gray fog, just tell me whatever you see.
I see my parents and my father, who I was very close to. And he and I were eating buddies.
Okay.
So we would go out usually on Sunday mornings and bring home bagels and pastries and stuff for the family. And before we would come home, he and I would eat something in the car, and that was our secret.
Okay. The treat between the two of you.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. So I want you to let yourself really be there as if you are your 12-year-old self, having this experience of being with your father. There you are, your eating buddies, and you buy all those bagels, all those pastries. You're driving home to bring them home, and you eat the things that are just for you two. Good. So it sounds like there's some love stuck in the food. There's some love stuck in the pastry, some father love.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want you to play through this scene, to continue playing through it, so to get to where you guys get home. What happens when you get home? Is your mom around?
Yeah.
And how does she relate to the two of you?
It's loving.
Good. Good. Okay. And is there anything else that you notice in this scene as this progresses?
It's almost as if, my father and I are sharing this secret.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like there's some pleasure in that, right? The closeness.
Oh yeah, there was a very, very strong closeness. And he passed away young, so it's I know there are a lot of relating to of these habits to him.
Okay.
And my relationship to him.
Okay. Good. So what I want you to do is to stop tapping, and you can take a deep breath here. Good. And let's see, you can open up your eyes, Shelly, and look around the room. Just kind of fully come out. We're going to go back in a moment. Okay. So how old were you when your father died?
23.
23. Okay. And did you do more emotional eating after that in the of your life? Maybe not.
I don't remember that it was more. I think it just got more as I got older.
Okay. Yeah. So this is so interesting. So there's actually like a separate technique that I like to do with people where the love is stuck in the food, but we can actually do it using echo tapping still. Um, because there's kind of echo tapping is more for when the food is to help drive away the bad feelings. And then there's this other technique, ball of light, which is more for when the good feelings are in the food and you want to bring them into you. So,
Okay.
yes. And let's see here, just one moment. Yeah. Okay, I know what to do. Okay, so you can close your eyes again, Shelley. And I want you to take a breath. And everybody else can close your eyes again too. And what we're going to do is start tapping through the points again. And I want you to go back into the scene, back to the beginning. And you can start tapping through the points. Start at whatever point you'd like. You can start with the karate chop point and progress to the others. Oh. And I want you to be back at the beginning of this scene where you are with your dad out shopping. And then I want you to play the movie to the point where it's you and him in the car eating, doing your secret eating fun time together. Can you picture that?
Yes.
And I want you to tell me, what is his expression like?
He's happy.
He's happy. And is he?
He's happy. He had joy in food.
A lot of joy in food. And when he looks at you, what is his expression like?
Loving.
Good, good. So, Shelley, what I'd like to do here is to uncouple this feeling of father love from the food. It doesn't mean that the food won't still taste good or won't still be something that you enjoy. But I want to give you the love so that it can exist inside of you. So it doesn't have to be out in this food that's separate from you.
Okay.
Does that sound good to you?
Sounds great.
Good. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that as a 12-year-old in this scene, that you scoop the love that's in that pastry up out of the pastry and into your heart. I want you to imagine gathering up all that love, all that fun, the excitement, everything out of that pastry and gathering it into your heart. Can you feel that?
I'm working.
Yeah, take your time. I know it's
This
a
is
lot of
not
things
easy.
going on. You're tapping, you're 12, you're scooping things.
Okay.
Good. And I want you to imagine that that good feeling that you've gathered into your heart becomes a ball of light. Can you imagine that as a ball of light?
Yes.
Very good. And I want you to look at your dad and I want you to share that ball of light with him. So pass it to his heart. Can you imagine his face as he receives that ball of light?
Yeah, I can.
Good. And now I want you to watch as he gathers up all of the good love, closeness, feelings that he has for you. And he gathers those up in that ball of light. And so it's growing, it's even bigger now. And he passes that ball of light to you as your 12-year-old self.
I can see that.
Good. And I'd like you to pass back and forth just a few more times here. So gather up all the good feelings again. And you can send that ball of light back to your dad. Watch how it lights him up as he receives it. Is he smiling yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good. And now I want you to watch as he gathers up all the good feelings and sends it back to you. Good.
Yeah.
Good. And I want you to tell me, do you want to send it back and forth anymore? Or do you feel complete with passing this ball of light?
I think I feel complete.
Good. So I want you to look at your dad and I want you to say out loud anything that you want to share with him. Maybe it's that you love him, that you miss him, whatever you feel like you need to share.
I love you and I miss you. You left us way too early. I miss you. I talk to him every day.
Good, good. And I want you to just let yourself receive his, however that lands for him, his expression. And I want you to let him share anything that he has to share with you. And you can do that out loud or in your head. Just let me know either way when you're done.
Okay, it was in my head. I heard him.
Good. And what I'd like to do now is to let you two share a hug. So I want you to imagine that you and your father hug each other. Can you picture that?
Yeah.
And I want you to really let it be vivid. So imagine the warmth of his hands on your back, the ebb and flow of his breath as he's breathing here. Good. And I want you to imagine that, do you resonate with angels, Shelley? Do you like angels? Or
Not really.
Do you like light?
Light, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, good. So I want you to imagine that this beautiful, clear light starts to flow down over the two of you. And this light is clear and it's cleansing. So it just washes through your entire body and his entire body. And it just takes with it anything that's no longer needed, just washing it away all the way down through your body, down into the earth. This liquid light. And the earth just sucks up anything that the light delivers to it, anything that's no longer needed, all the dust, debris, whatever's left, whatever's attached to this or associated with this. Good. And now this beautiful, I love to imagine it as this like liquid honey, this golden light gathers and it starts to pour over the two of you. And it soaks into every layer of your body, into the cells of every tissue. And this liquid golden light is just full of love and peace. And it fills every cell so that you actually start to glow. If you imagine looking up at your dad, you could see that the light is starting to radiate from him. And this light, this liquid golden light, is filling in any of the spaces that we opened up today. It's filling them up with love and with peace. Excellent. Can you feel that?
Yes.
Good. I can tell your face looks very relaxed. Good. So what I want you to do now is share any last thing that you want to share with your dad. And knowing that you can always come back to this space with him.
Okay.
Good. And I want you to keep your eyes closed, but you can stop tapping and let your hand rest on your heart. And I want you to just take a moment to thank your father, to thank the light, to thank your child self, your 12-year-old self, to thank yourself as the adult that you are today, and also thank this time, this precious time that you've given to do this, to attend to this part that needed a little extra attention. Good. And you can open your eyes, take a deep breath, come back to the room. Here we are. It's the 12th of February. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. So what I want you to do now, Shelley, is I want you to think back to the other day and you emotionally ate. It happened. You did that thing. And this is true for anybody else. Just go back to the origin kind of feeling. And I want you to think about it again and tell me what you notice now. Notice what's different. Or just what stands out to you.
That I don't have to feel the guilt. And I don't, but the food doesn't give me what I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm.
even though in the moment I think it will,
Mm-hmm.
knowing intellectually that it won't.
Mm-hmm.
But the food just doesn't have the power.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this practice that I like to do that I want to specifically recommend to you, and I want to recommend this to anybody else who's listening. I call it fill up on the good feelings first. So a lot of times we're reaching towards food because we want to feel good, and so what I like to do, what I like to even tell clients to do, is to say, okay, I can totally eat that. I'm allowed to eat that, but first I have to fill up on some good feelings. And so that people have so many different ways that they do this. And I have like a long list of techniques that I like to do for filling up on the good feelings. But for you, Shelley, and for anybody else who has someone that they really experienced a lot of love and closeness with, I love this example. And if you don't have someone that you feel close with or safe with, you can always just imagine being the adult that you are today and holding your child self, 5 years old, 10 years old, whatever. But to imagine just sitting in the presence of either your beloved, as your father, or your beloved as your child self, and to just spend some time imagining. I love to reference, looking at the expression on their face, watching their breathing, noticing if they're smiling, and just talking and seeing if there's anything, if they need to hear anything or want to share anything. So this is something that you can do even with the food right in front of you. Just take a moment to just close your eyes and take some deep breaths and really vividly imagine being with this person, whether it's your child self or your father, just to connect with those good feelings. And like we did today, you can even share a ball of light and love between the two of you if you want some visual for how to share that good feeling.
Okay.
So that's that. I know that you maybe had to leave right at the 60-minute mark. Shall I?
No, I'm okay for a little while.
Okay, good.
I don't know if I can go. I can't go 90 minutes, but I can
Right.
go a little while.
Yeah, and I don't actually think we will anyway. So, so good. So that was Shelley. I'm going to just mute you, but if you have more questions, thank you so much for volunteering.
Thank you.
And I actually might loop back to you and ask you a question later. Who knows? It's all possible. So this was echo tapping with like a slight twist, with a slight flavor of the ball of light work that I like to do with people. And so this is kind of cool because it was a merging of the two. A lot of times echo tapping will look more like the adult that you are today, going in and helping support your child self when they're in an upset situation. And this might be possible for you, Shelley. You were saying your mom berated you a lot as a kid, so it may be that your child self, that there are memories where your child self actually needs some help and some support. And so that might be another root, right? We address the root of the guilt, but maybe there's that aspect of pain. So this process. So as far as how to work with this on your own, you guys can listen to this recording again and tap through the points again. And really there's just such a magic to that first step of identifying the feeling, the uncomfortable feeling that goes on with the emotional eating, whether it's before, during, or after it. And then to follow that feeling back in time to the first thing that pops into your head, the first age, the first memory. And what you're doing right there, it's effectively like a micro-hypnosis, right? Where you're dropping into your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, the way it represents things is symbolic, right? It works in metaphors. So sometimes the most effective metaphor that the subconscious mind is a memory. And sometimes it's a memory that's kind of combined with another memory, combined with this thing that we made up, but it's a symbolic representation of that represents this belief or this driver that makes us overeat. So just that part of the process, and then to go in and be present with who you were in that time, with what was going on, to really feel it and tap on the points. And the way I think about tapping is that it just helps to soothe us while we're going through anything that's intense. So it sends a message to our brain that you're okay, you're not going to die, you're okay. And it helps to kind of speed up the process, and to kind of give it a container. I think sometimes when we go into intense emotional experiences, it can feel like there's no floor beneath us, there's no container, and it helps to just keep reassuring yourself, on a deep somatic level. Yeah, and I love what you said, Shelley, of like, wow, I don't have to feel the guilt. That's huge, because a lot of times it's actually the guilt and the shame and the self-flagellation after a binge or after emotional eating that sets us up for the next one. It may be a few days later, it may be a few hours later, but that's part of the cycle. So if you can interrupt the cycle at any point and at multiple points, then it completely breaks down and it just can't operate anymore. So since we have a little bit of time here, I just want to know if anybody has any questions. You can raise your hand if you can figure out how to do that. Or you can just type into the chat that you have a question and I can unmute you. So does anybody have any questions? But I think, okay, yes, I see you. You literally raise your hand, which I love. Hey, hi, how are you? You can speak. I don't know your name though. Kay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Oh, hi. So the echo part of the tapping that was just done, what is the echo part? I'm a little confused.
Echo part, right, yes. So we layered some things. So the echo part is, the way that Brittany describes it, and the way that I think about it, is that the echo is that something happened that wasn't fully resolved, and that the behaviors now are kind of the echo of that, right? So we go back in time to resolve what it was that wasn't fully digested or processed. So like I said to Shelley, this example was kind of, we layered in the ball of light work into it, but really just to know that there was still the echo piece, was the aspect of, there was still some emotion kind of that was undigested. It could even include the good feelings, right? And so just to go back in time and be with that child self, that's the echo part.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep, makes sense.
And were you able to follow along at all?
Yeah. I'm familiar with this kind of work, so it's
cool. Good.
Really helpful what you're doing. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah, I know that Brittany, I think she studied matrix reimprinting and things like that. So there's a lot of modalities that kind of are here. Good. Any other questions?
Not right now.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'll put you back. Oh my gosh, you have a cat. I'll put you back on mute. Were there any other questions? Rachel, Jalika. I know Jalika's in kind of a loud spot. And then there's a Budermuth. If anybody else has questions, great. If not, we'll just move right along. So you can type them in the chat box, and then I'll know or just say, hey, I have a question, and then I can unmute you. So I'll just wait a moment for that. And one of the things that I like to do is to, like, for example, with Shelley's example, right? So she had this emotional eating episode, and we got her to the place where there was less guilt afterwards, right? Less of a feeling of, oh my gosh, I don't have to feel guilty. Thanks. That's so sweet. Yes, thank you, Shelley, for putting yourself out there. Such a gift to all of us. And then I like to use this technique. So Shelley, you could even use this again to tap on the same feeling, right? If you think about the same feeling, if there's anything left, if you think about, I emotionally ate, maybe it's the secretness or the hiding, and you can do the same process, and it can lead you to another memory or another, age. and then you can attend to whatever's going on at that age. So you can do echo tapping on the same thing a few times until it feels really fully just like there's no charge around it anymore. And sometimes it gets to the point where it's not only neutral, but it actually kind of flips to where you feel good. You feel a lot of peace and joy even. So so just doing this process multiple times kind of gets to the roots, right? The roots of this behavior structure. So I've already been diving into this. I'm looking at my notes again. I just want to make sure that you all have, the ability to take this information further if you want to. So whether it's on your own or it's with me. And so like we discussed, kind of the process, if I were to simplify it into a 3-step process, would be to identify what the behaviors are that aren't the best for you, right? So it's the emotional eating, overeating, not enjoying movement or not moving enough, not getting enough sleep. Sometimes this can also include other behaviors of not setting enough boundaries, not prioritizing self-care, things like that. So first, it's to identify the things that are getting in the way of really taking care of yourself and doing the things that you know to do that are helpful. And then the second step is to address those, right? So this is an incredible technique that you can use for a lot of those things, because usually there's some discomfort around either doing the healthy thing or not doing the unhealthy thing. And so you can follow that feeling of discomfort back in time. Use this process to tap on whatever's there. And you may be surprised by what's associated with it. A lot of times clients are like, I don't understand why this is where we're going, and then by the end, it kind of makes sense. It all clicks into place. Because their subconscious mind does make sense. It may use weird symbols, but it does usually make sense. And then you just kind of use that process again and again. And then, like we talked about, of filling up on the good feelings. That's this idea of establishing new habits or new practices to create this new version of your reality where you are focusing on feeling good and where you're filling up on the good feelings. So often, that's not something that emotional eaters practice. We're good at filling up on the food, but we're not good at filling up on the love and really receiving it fully. So if you'd like a chance to get clear about how emotional eating and even self-sabotage is showing up in your life, and what you can do to experience more peace and ease around food and around your body and body image, I am offering free strategy sessions. I have a limited number. Between now and the end of the month, I've got, I think, about 10 or 15 sessions for this intro call that are available. And what I do in that time, it's an hour, and we spend time talking on the phone, and I help you get clear about what you need to understand about how this problem is showing up for you. So we'll actually go through, I have a list of like 10 weight loss blockers, and we'll get clear on like what are kind of the key areas that are tripping you up. And I'll help you understand what you need to do, what you need to focus on, and I'll help you get clear about what the resources are and the support that you need to get from where you are to where you want to be. And there's an application for that, and it's on my website. If you go to makaylamcdonald.com/intake, you can also just go to my website, and under contact, there's an entry point to that. But you can, apply for this intro orientation kind of session, and that can help you get clear on what next steps to take. And once I receive your submission, I'll reach out and we'll schedule. So I'm just going to check the chat and see if there's any more questions. No, I think we're good. We are so timely. This is great, y'all. So I just want to end with my gratitude. Thank you all for being here and taking this time. I really appreciate it. And, please stay in touch. I'm doing a lot of social media posts on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to be updating my blog more with content. But if you if you just want to have more content like this, just follow me on those streams. Instagram as well, if I didn't already mention that. And reach out. I'm happy to talk, happy to email. If you have any other questions, a lot of times after the call hangs up, people have more questions. And so you can email me at Happy Wellness Makayla. That's at Gmail. I'm going to type it into the chat so you can see it. happywellnessmakayla@gmail.com. Or you can go to my website, makaylamcdonald.com. And my email is there. You're welcome, Jalika. My email is there, and the application is there. So the website's it's got a lot. You can spend some time on there. So, part of my mission in life is to really help people, especially women, to feel peaceful and to feel freedom. And I know that body image and emotional eating took up so much of my brain space and my energy. And it really stopped me from doing the things that I really care about and from showing up with as much love and presence as I really want to show up with. And so I really am grateful to have the opportunity to share this work and to be connecting with you all. And I also just want to acknowledge that it takes some bravery to show up here and to investigate all of this. And thank you all for doing it, because there's this incredible power when we aren't ashamed and we aren't shy. We can show up with so much more presence, and that's such a gift. My teacher, Christopher Wallace, says that it's actually the most selfless act to take care of ourselves, because when we take care of ourselves, we can show up with more love and presence and compassion for the world. And I just really, my hope is that may all of our self-care benefit all beings. And yeah, thank you all for being here and for showing up. I really look forward to hearing from you, and I wish you all the best. So thank you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.